Hi, and welcome back to another episode on How to Hack. So today we'll be discussing about SQL Map, which is an automated SQL injection tool or platform that could actually help speed up the process for us to actually gain access to the website and be able to pull out the database information. So of course over here, we got a manual page. So the first thing you want to go into is to enter man SQL Map to see what are the options available inside SQL Map. So again, this is a way for us to speed up the whole process of performing SQL injection in an automated way. So you have not already checked out the previous SQL injection lecture and tutorial, please go check that first, because you have to have a basic understanding of how SQL injection work, and from there on you can actually begin how you want to automate it. You can think of all the scripts that you could build using Python because you already understand about how the manual injection works. So this is the part where we're going into an advanced tool, and without understanding the foundation of it, it will be challenging for us to go into the advanced tools. So again, a quick recap about how SQL tables work. So SQL tables are like your Excel sheet, rows and columns. So of course on the left side we can see a unique key. So again, this is a unique value, so called customer ID. And we have customer name, we have the contact name, address, city, postal code, and country. So again, this is how it is structured almost like an Excel sheet. But on the back end, of course, in many databases, they have millions, or in fact some of them have billions of records. So those are the places that we can actually try to retrieve some of this information. And of course, each of the row could be unique to the table. And of course, they could be joined together with other tables as well to be able to perform some of the other analytics. So here we got some of the basic SQL statements. So selecting is the retrieval of data, pulling data out from the database, from the tables. Dropping is to delete the table entirely. Inserting is to key in values into the table. And update is of course to change the existing value inside each of the rows. So again, this is the basic SQL statements that could actually help us be able to control and manage many of these databases. So when we're performing a SQL statement, for example, here we got select all from customers. So here, this would actually pull out all the records from the table of customer. And of course, we also have select. We can select specifically on the columns that could actually pull out only specific column information while retrieving all of the rows. So again, different kind of statements can produce different kind of results. So of course, moving back into the basic concept about how web servers are working. So of course, at the very front, you have your client HTML, where you have the text form that could actually allow you to be able to key in data, and the data is sent to the web application server. And from the web application server, this would allow us the ability to actually insert data, and it will process information. So over here on the web application end, we can see select from user by username equals. So again, this is a check, trying to check what kind of information are there. And again, from here you can see what we are trying to do. So for SQL injection is the whole idea of bypassing many of these mechanisms that are working and be able for us to actually pull in different kind of information, be able to get data out of the databases from the otherwise intended operation. So again, all these are the ways that we can use SQL injection for. So we can modify data, we can insert data, we can drop tables, we can do a lot of all these things. So another example here of SQL injection, on the right side we can actually see the single quote to actually end the statement. And from ending the statement, we have a OR true, and then of course we have comments and we have AND password. So again, we are trying different kind of payloads to bypass the original intention of the text forms. So this would bring us into SQL Map. So again, SQL Map, very simply on the left side, it is of course built on Python. And here we got -u. So -u is to specify the URL link of the server that we're going after. So from the server, directly from here, we can see the URL link. And from the URL link, we just have to insert the URL, and we'll be able to begin injecting information into the site. So it will be testing, for example, page equal, because there's a question mark there, so it will actually capture those content from the text form that has a question mark. So this allows us to actually pull data into the system very quickly, so helping us be able to get those information. So once again, over here, we have union tests. So again, they are doing all these different kind of tests on behalf so that we can speed up the whole process of penetration testing. And again, it's checking on all the vulnerable fields. So of course, here in this case, we only specify one specific vulnerable field, so we can specify more vulnerable fields for the system to actually check on. So in this case, for example, we're going to a login page. So this login page helps us check the account details. So from the account details, all we gotta do is actually key in, for example, equal page equal user-info, and we have username equal task and password. So again, it would check all these forms for checking whether they are sanitized, whether we are able to bypass the function of it and be able to inject certain kind of commands. So of course here we can see we are targeting the information, so we are specifying more question marks. So the question mark would actually allow us to test the fuse and see if the fuse could actually be injectable. And of course in this case we are seeing that we actually have a lot more information regarding the injectable fuse. So in this case you can see from here it says that okay, page does not seem to be injectable, and of course we are seeing all this information, and it helps us check what kind of backend database management system is it using. So in this case, we're saying that it could be a PostgreSQL, it could be a MySQL, and it's asking you whether you want to skip specific payload so that you can speed up the process of verifying what kind of database systems are there. So of course over here, we can see that it says that username appears to be OR Boolean base blind. So again, we're saying that it is injectable, and this is the part, once it is injectable, we can further our attempt to get more information, pulling data out, doing database dumping, and so on. So likewise over here, from the result it says get username is vulnerable. Do you want to keep testing others? And of course here it has the payload information that we can test out on. So in this case we can see the different kind of test that was being put into the system, the different kind of payloads. So here we have a test, and then a single quote or not, and then followed by the following. We got error base, we got time base, blind. Again, all this information helping us know what are the payloads that was inserted that could actually be pushed into the system and ultimately pulling information out later on. So likewise here, once we are able to bypass the fuse, we can actually pull information like the databases type. So over here, we can see the number of available databases. So we got DBWA, information schema, Metasploit, MySQL, and so on. So we are seeing all of the databases available that we can actually query more information in each of those databases. So from here, again, we are trying to enumerate the tables inside the databases. So again, remember again, databases, tables, and then the information inside each of the tables. So in this case, we are querying a particular database and then going into the table. So if you see on the bottom left, we can actually see all the tables available inside a particular database. So once we get the information, we want to be able to actually retrieve the information and content inside each of the table. So this is the part where we are specifying -t to specify the table that we're querying, as well as --dump to dump out all those information. So in this case, we can actually see the username, password. So in this case, the password is not being hashed. There's no security mechanisms to actually protect it. So immediately we can pull out all those information from the table. So here we got SQL map, so we can also have an interactive SQL shell. So again, the interactive SQL shell allow us to do different kind of commands directly into the database. So again, all this helping us be able to pull out different results. So here, for example, we got a SQL statement. So we did a select all from information underscore schema.tables. So once you have this interactive shell, you can begin thinking about all of the commands that you can use, all of the items that you can use to actually speed up the process, accelerate the whole pace of trying to find out more information. So if you now think about it, what are the techniques can you use along SQL map? So again, all of this idea is about how can you advance some of these functions and features while using SQL map to perform and accelerate the pace of your penetration testing. So now let us go into the tutorial portion of this lecture. So on the left side of the screen, I have Metasploitable 2 running. So I can actually enter ifconfig. So this would tell us the IP address of the web server that we'll be accessing. So in this case, it's going to be 192.168.0.212. So going to the right side, we can actually open up any web browser and we can go into the same IP address that has been provided to us from Metasploitable 2. So we can enter 192.168.0.212, hit enter on that, and of course we can actually zoom in and go to Mutiliday. So once we go into Mutiliday, this is the part where we can actually look at some of the potential vulnerable views that we can try to access into. So we can go into OWASP top 10, we can go into injection, and we can say go into user information from extract data. So click on that and we can see the information directly from here. So we can copy the URL link And of course, we can open up terminal so it's easier for you to see. So we can zoom in a little more and we can enter man SQL map. So this would actually give us the manual page of SQL map. So again, a very important command because it will actually help you understand what are the parameters that you can enter and access into, which can help you accelerate the pace of understanding more about how this platform functions. So we got -v for velocity, we got -- version, we got direct connection, URL for -u. So again, all these are key usages of SQL map. So in this case, I'll enter -u and I'll actually enter the double quote, and we can paste the clipboard of the URL and of course a double quote and hit enter on that, and this would immediately help us be able to do a direct attack against the page field. So of course, in this case, we can enter PHP session ID, yes. So it would declare the cookies for us. So again, it may be checking now that it's vulnerable to cross-site scripting, it's vulnerable to file inclusion attacks. And of course here, it is testing the kind of database type. And of course here, it says recommended to perform only basic union tests if there is not at least one other technique found. Do you want to reduce the number of requests? So again, depending on the kind and the time that you have to perform the task. So in this case, we'll enter yes, but in your own test lab, you could actually enter N so that you can actually see what kind of commands and payloads is sending over into the system. So we enter Y on that. So of course, over here, we see that the parameter page may not be injectable. So in this case, we may have to try other different kind of fields. So of course, in this case, say for example, name and password, I can enter task and click view account details. So from here, this would actually open up a number of fields that we can actually try to inject into. So from the earlier command that we used, now we are going to change it. We're going to change and update the URL that has been provided to us now. So we can actually go ahead and click view and actually paste this information on the edit. Paste the clipboard with the double quote, hit enter on that, and now it will continue checking whether the fields are actually injectable. So in this case, immediately we get the result very quickly. We got a backend database is MySQL, and from here we can actually see all the information regarding the system. So in this case, it says that parameter username, and of course it says that this is the payload that was used, and this is the payload that managed to actually help us bypass the particular field. So again, we also have error-based, and we also have time-based blind. So again, all these are the payloads that we can use to try to find out more information about the database and see whether we are able to bypass the security mechanics of it. So over here, what we're going to do next is to, of course, be able to dump out information. So of course, there are a number of parameters that we can use, number of options that we can use. And in this case, what we can do is actually go back into the lecture slide. So in the very early part of the lecture slide, we can see many different kind of techniques that we can use as part of the attack. So some of the key things that we want to find out is in terms of the databases. What databases are there? So we can use a --DBS. So this would actually tell us all the databases inside the system. So go ahead and enter on that, and it will pull out all the records regarding the databases inside the system. So in this case, we got a number of 7 databases. So we got DBWA, Information Schema, Metasploit, and so on. So again, all these are the databases residing inside the server, inside the computer. So of course, we can go ahead and change this to -D. So this will specify the database that we are going to query into. So in our case, we will enter OWASP 10. And of course, we can enter, again, referring back to the lecture slides, we can enter --tables. So this would tell us all the tables available inside this database. So we can go ahead and enter on that. So --tables, hit enter on that. And this will show us all the tables inside the OWASP 10. So here we got 6 tables. So we got accounts, blocks tables, credit cards, pen test tools, and all this different information. So again, we can also now specify capital T and specify on accounts. And again, we can enter --dump. So this will actually pull all the records inside the accounts table, helping us find all this information inside this table. So this will dump out everything. And of course, we got 16 entries inside the table. So we got the username, we got the password, we got a signature, and we got all this different information very quickly, helping us find all of the login details for us to access in the system. So now that we got all the details, all I gotta do is, for example, enter Samurai, followed by Samurai, and we can view account details. So again, we are able to log in, we're able to see all the information. And for example, if I click login here, because we already got a username and the password, we can also log in as all these different users directly by dumping out the databases. So once again, I hope you learned something valuable in today's tutorial. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so that you can be kept abreast of the latest cybersecurity tutorial. And of course, if you've got any questions, feel free to leave a comment below, and I'll try my best to answer any of your questions. Thank you so much once again for watching.